Okay, so I'm going to stop it at different points just so we can look at it. And you can see right here, okay, she has, in terms of the video that has been available, maybe it's some other video, but this is what I was able to obtain. So she has already reached him, and there is Lewandowski here. Okay, so he's right there in the presence, just about, and I'm assuming that he's also surrounded around by Secret Service. I mean, he has Secret Service. I don't know what role he would play as a Secret Service person.
Well, the Secret Service are supposed to protect him. And if you look in front of Trump, the fellow with the glasses and then the fellow in front of him, they both look, they're not looking back at Trump like all the other crowd is doing. They obviously are security people that are there to protect him. Also next to the campaign manager in back of him, looks like a guy with some kind of a button on. So he's got around him on 3 or 4 sides his security, which is understandable.
But this is also, let me say this. I mean, I've been to a lot of these press conferences, and this is a press conference. And, when you're dealing with Secret Service, what you're talking about, the media being screened. Now, I can't say for a fact because I wasn't there. Okay, I can't say for a fact that they are being screened. But I mean, you have to leave your computer. You have to leave your video, your camera. I mean, you are being screened. So the idea that somebody, such as Sirhan is going to come into this environment, you can see everybody here are media people. I mean, the idea that there's going to be a heightened state of security, given the fact that, one, you already have Secret Service people. Secondly, I believe you're going to have this incredible protection just in advance of the press conference, and is beyond me. So, I understand what you're saying. I understand what Trump is saying and others protecting him are saying. Not that necessarily that you're protecting him, but others that I've heard who I believe are protecting him and verbally protecting him. I don't see it. Okay, so let's move on, unless you have a comment.
Well, the only thing I'll tell you, if you look to the right, you'll see people using iPhones to take pictures. There's 3 or 4 people using iPhones. If you look over the far left, there's a young girl in a pink sweater, look like they're awfully young. Maybe they're media, but they don't, there's an awful lot of young people there in these press conferences, and I know that you're supposed to be screened, but I don't know if a candidate has every single person coming into a press conference, any gathering screened. I don't know if they do that. All I'm saying is that there is security around him, and if you look at this whole picture, it's a great picture. People bounce into each other. People get shoved. If you go above Trump's head and go back about 4 people, there's some fella grabbing the arm of another fella. Maybe that's a friendly pull. I don't know. Okay. But people get bounced into. Things happen like that.
Okay.
And
so yeah, I
don't think I run to court and bring criminal charges. Is the point I'm making.
I understand. Again, to me, the issue is not necessarily this one event. It's a broader issue. Okay, and anyway, that's my position. However, I am offended by some of the things that has happened here, and so let's see. Maybe I might be convinced otherwise. Let's move on. So we see that she has moved on, and he's still over here. Okay, so he's reaching in right there, and they're talking.
Well, I say they're talking. He's looking down. He's not focusing on her in any way. And the next thing is he's moving on.
Okay. Well, I believe there's the audio. Okay, and we'll put that up in a second. So let me move forward a little bit. Actually, okay, so right there, he's grabbing her.
Well, he hadn't touched her
Yeah.
yet.
Okay. So you can see right there. I'm not going to say that she has fallen to the ground. Far from.
She's standing up straight. She's barely been touched, Steve. I mean, the more I see this, the more outraged I am as a citizen that this is what we've come to. We run off and the guy's been arrested for something like that, going to have a criminal record on because he's trying to reach out to protect his boss and tell a young lady that enough is enough. He's moving on. He doesn't want to talk to you. And she doesn't slip. She doesn't move forward. To me, that's outrageous. She's the one that ought to be sued.
Wait. Okay. And Trump is the one to do that. I mean, he's certainly going to sue just about everybody. So it seems. But I mean, so you think it's okay for, say, a woman or your daughter or somebody could, to be talking, a member of the media now, to be talking to a candidate, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, instead of going up to this person being pulled, that's okay?
My daughter, by the way, my oldest daughter, was a major focus in the media on the Today Show and on CNN. So I've got a daughter in the media.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've not talked to her about this. And by the way, I've got to call her afterwards. I'll ask her that very question, Steve.
Okay.
But all I'm saying is a guy reaching out that looks like he's saying, enough is enough, young lady, move on back. And he might have touched your arm. To say that criminal act is
have touched her arm.
Well, okay. What? I think it's outrageous.
Okay.
You know what? If Donald Trump wants me to, and I'm not for Donald Trump, but I think that this is kind of malarkey. I'll tell you what. I think if people take the time to look at this, if you're on the line but you kind of like Trump, you're going to be all the more for him. I think this helps him and not hurts him at all. And I think her actions are outrageous.
Here's a different video, and it shows here. This is Lewandowski, and that's her. And I'm just going to do time lapse. So, he's actually turning to her. This is where he originated. Okay. And this is where she originated, and they moved on. And this is by the way, this is 4 seconds, as we shall see.
Back up a little bit, though. I just think it's fascinating that he's obviously telling her, back off, leave my boss alone. And to me, it looks like a very normal thing that someone protecting the candidate would do.
But 4.7 seconds before the actual touch. Okay, I'll play the entire thing so you can see. And this is when the camera shows that he starts after her. Okay, and so here, watch.
Hasn't touched her. Okay,
4.7 seconds. Now, you have heard, I know I've heard his supporters, and I think he even made some kind of claim that, well, she was holding something, so therefore they may have, he may have been at risk. She could have been a terrorist. You never know what, who knows what, she had in her hand. 4.7 seconds has elapsed. Secret Service, for 4.7 seconds in a closed environment of a press conference, and this guy's going to pull this lady?
Well, but Steve, I don't think it's a security thing. Look, I think the key on this is, if you go back and look at the video, starting after about 1.5 seconds, Trump's had enough. He's turned. He's walking away. If he wanted to engage and talk to her, he'd be looking at her and talking to her. And so it tells the campaign manager, the boss is moving on. He doesn't want to talk to this gal anymore. She's being persistent. My job is to protect the boss, and I'm going to tell her, young lady, you're in our line of movement in our press conference. It's time you moved away. I think it's completely legitimate And the fact, I mean, the more we talk about it, the more outraged I am that this guy who I don't know, and number one, I don't think he should be there. He should be back in the campaign headquarters. But having said that, there's just absolutely no justification.
Well, okay, so let me ask this. I mean, talking about justification, don't you think that maybe this guy Corey should have gone around and said, "Hey, look, you've had it. That's enough," or I mean, rather than pull this lady. I mean, no, she didn't hit the floor. He said that he didn't even touch her.
Well, I think he touched her, but barely. You look at the pictures, Steve. She does not waver. She's standing up straight. She never was bent over. She never looked off balance. Wait, hold on. Look at Trump. Look at Trump.
Yeah.
He's ignoring her. He doesn't want to talk to her anymore. And Corey is doing.
Wait, hold on. Look at that. Never looked off balanced.
She looks like she's standing up there to me straight.
Yeah, well, okay, she's standing upright there. I mean, vertical, upright. Now watch this. I mean, okay, so I don't know. You're not just going to have to heal. I'll do it again.
Donald Trump
right there.
Ignoring her. Donald Trump is completely ignoring her, Steve. He doesn't want to have any.
Maybe he doesn't know that she has been pulled.
Well, I think he's through with her, and the message given to Corey is, look, get this gal out of my way. I'm moving on. I've talked to her, and I don't want to sit here and talk to her anymore. So Corey,
wait. So he's got some power of telepathy. He's saying, Corey, get this lady out of here.
Visibly, that's what it looks like to me. He's turned his back and walking away from me. She's being persistent, and Corey is saying, his campaign is saying, lady, enough's enough. And she might be mad about it, and I could see a nasty tweet from her or from her whatever news organization she works for.
Breibart, a very, very staunch conservative organization she worked for.
She's not even what organization was it?
Breibart.
Okay, well that's fine, but Trump has said enough.
A very pro-Trump news organization, I think almost as pro as the magazine that put that outed Ted Cruz.
Well, maybe she's made the Breibart organization mad, and maybe that's Trump's. But I think that's a problem for Trump, not a problem for him. I just try and look. I like to jump on the guys that malangle the press, and you and I are in the press. In that case, though, I just said, if that's as you said about 10 minutes ago in our discussion, with what's going on in this country today and how incendiary these campaigns are, and my gosh, we've had follow-up to terrorist activities in Brussels. The Supreme Court has caused Congress to be complete gridlock, and yet all we've seen in the last 2 days, if I turned on CNN or MSNBC right now, I'm sure all I'd be seeing is that video. I think it's much ado about nothing, Steve, is my honest opinion.
Okay, so here is, by the way, now here is the transcript. I can't say it's the complete transcript, but here's a transcript of the conversation. And it says, Mr. Trump, you went after the late Scalia for affirmative action. Or are you still against affirmative action? Okay, so she's asking him a question in voice, allegedly Corey Lewandowski, excuse me, thank you. A few moments later, noise in the room can be heard. Stop right there,
Steve. Stop right there.
Yeah.
What Corey is saying, thank you, it's over. The boss doesn't want to talk to you. It's our press conference. Move on, young lady. That's what the message was from Corey.
Well, as he's pulling her. Excuse me, thank you. I'm pulling you. Okay. I mean, could have gone around them and say, okay, enough. But he pulls her. Excuse me, thank you.
I think he reached for her arm. I don't see that as a pull. Or this guy Tara says, yeah, he just threw you.
Yeah. Okay. So Tara says, you okay? And she says, holy. Tara says, yeah, he just threw you. Field says, I can't believe he just did that. That was so hard. Was that Corey? Yeah. Like, what threat were you? That was insane. You should have felt how hard he grabbed me. Again, this is Breibart. okay, reporter. That's insane. I never had anyone do that to me from a campaign. I cannot put that in a story. Yeah, go for it. That was fully, really awful. That's unpleasant. He really just almost threw you on the ground.
Okay? Stop, Steve, right there. You and I saw the video. That is so far from the truth. That's just an outrageous false statement. That's incendiary. It's just not true.
Well, wait, okay, but if you look at her position where, I mean, no, she wasn't horizontal to the ground, and she, but I'll put it like this. I certainly wouldn't want, say my wife pulled like that, where, all of a sudden, she is being, she's not no longer vertical, but she is certainly, the angle of her body is at least, I would say, say 10% or say 20% at a 10 o'clock angle.
Well, she had high heels on.
Well, that's even more, but it's still, you would agree with me that, it's still like at a 10 o'clock angle. It wasn't, say, a 9 o'clock angle. It wasn't an 11 o'clock angle. It was like a 10 o'clock angle.
Steve, in big crowds like that, in people in very close quarters, people are going to bump into each other. Someone's going to grab someone. That is just the way of life of being a reporter. And I'm very
happened to me.
I'm anxious. I'll be stunned if my daughter. I'll be stunned if she says that there's justification for criminal charges in a case like this.
Okay, so he tweets. Corey tweets afterwards. I never touched you. That's what he said. I never touched you. I don't even know you. I mean, we're supposed to believe his credibility after he has said that, I never touched you?
Well, he reached out for her, and from the video, it looks like he did touch her, but nothing more than that.
Oh, he didn't grab her? Okay. I'd say that he grabbed her. You say that he hardly even touched her. So,
I'll tell you what, that young lady, if she could, in her quiet moments, could relive the whole thing over again, she would do exactly that. Only this time around, she'd hope they would shove her to the ground, because now she's a figure. She's got her 15 minutes of fame. 100 to 1, she'd do the same thing over again, and glad to be grabbed, and wished it was harder so she could be all over the news like she is right now. Now all of a sudden she's somebody. Before this happened, she was just a nobody minor reporter, Steve. So.
Well, you're right. You're right. I mean, she certainly she filed a lawsuit. Now Trump is thinking about filing a lawsuit against her for her touching him. Okay.
Crosstalk. Trump, what does this would have happened? Went to the ground or something to the effect she almost went to the ground. She was in pain.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I put this up here. Okay, so, yeah, Cooper said, this is from yesterday. And I sent this to you before so that you would be acquainted with it. With it. Okay. It says, let me ask you about Lewandowski. Initially, your campaign said this never happened. There was no video of it. You came out and said you thought this person was perhaps making it up. Okay. This reporter. Lewandowski himself tweeted saying, I never met this reporter. I never touched this person. Now this videotape shows he clearly touched this person. Whether or not you think it was battery or not, Trump said touch. I don't know what touch means. I looked. Cooper says, well, he says, I never touched this person. Trump says, and then she says, oh, look at my arm. And then this comes crosstalk. Cooper says, did he mislead you at all? Trump said, not at all. No, not at all. Look, I don't know. We had all these security cameras all over, but the time I found out, I said, well, this is really wonderful. This exonerates him totally. Now, there's some crosstalk. Trump says, would have happened, some inaudible, went to the ground or something to the effect that she almost went to the ground. She was in pain. She went to the ground. So in other words, he's saying, look, She never went to the ground. She wasn't even close that she went to the ground. Her statement that she gave that almost went to the ground wasn't even close. When she found out that there was a security camera and that there had been her on tape, all of a sudden that story changed. She didn't talk about it. Cooper says, no, that's not true. She says the story has remained exactly the same, that she was knocked a little bit off. And then Trump says, oh, really? Can I read this to you? And so he takes out his paper and has Cooper read it out loud. And basically, this is, Trump says, now that's the exact quote from her to seeing the camera. Now she says, oh, I better change my story. Now, of course, that's assuming that that's what she's saying. Cooper says, the quote says, this is the quote that Trump has, and this is the actual quote. I was jolted backwards. Someone had grabbed me tightly by the arm and yanked me. I almost now fell to the ground, but was able, Trump says, yank you down. Did you see it? Did she almost fall to the ground? My position is this. She was yanked. She lost her balance to a degree of a 10 o'clock position like that. Okay. No, she wasn't. She didn't fall to the ground, but she lost her balance. That's my position. Lewandowski, the campaign manager, who you're supposed to believe, said that he didn't even touch her. Trump says that, there's nothing to it. He said that, didn't even touch her. He believed him. Trump believed him, not her. Evidence is he did touch her to the extent where she had to move like that.